My name is Isabella Hart, 32, and if someone had told me a month ago that my life could implode so quickly, I would have laughed. Life had felt normal, predictable, comfortable. My boyfriend of 3 years, Daniel Cole, 34, and I were planning a weekend camping trip. We were that couple everyone called steady, maybe a little boring, but in my eyes, safe. Or so I thought. The first cracks appeared subtly. Daniel started spending a lot more time on video calls with his friends, particularly his former best friend turned girlfriend, Samantha, 30. Whenever I walked into the room, the conversation would stop. The phone would tilt away. At first, I didn't think much of it. Privacy, right? Everyone needs that. But then, Daniel's best friend Liam, 31, began acting strangely around me. He was quieter, almost tense, and there were moments when his gaze lingered too long on Daniel, the kind of look that carried unspoken warnings. My curiosity and unease grew. About 10 days ago, Liam asked to meet me alone for coffee. Alarm bells rang in my chest as I stepped into the cafe. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept for days. "Isabella, there's something you need to know," he said, voice tight with hesitation. "I'm so sorry. I've been recording some of Daniel's and Samantha's group conversations. Not for anything weird. It's gone too far. Daniel. He's being talked about in ways that are... I don't even know how to say it." My stomach dropped. Liam played me a few snippets. It wasn't harmless gossip. Samantha was dissecting Daniel in every way possible. His job, his ambitions, even his hobbies. "He actually enjoys birdwatching," one clip had her laughing. She mocked the way he laughed, ridiculed the texts he'd sent her, and worst of all, spoke about their future, or rather, the lack thereof. "Daniel's a great placeholder. Comfortable, but predictable. I'm keeping my options open." Liam remained mostly silent in the clips, but his presence in my life suddenly felt crucial. He had been walking on eggshells around Samantha for years. I felt my world tilt. "Why are you showing me this, Liam?" "Because it's wrong, Isabella," he said. "She's been convincing me you're somehow the bad guy, that Daniel's been off lately. She was preparing to dump him and make him look like a villain." That night, I confronted Daniel calmly. No yelling, no accusations, just a trembling honesty. "Daniel, have you been unhappy? Have you been talking about me, about us, to Samantha?" Daniel stared, then bristled defensively. "What if I have guy talk? We vent. It's not a big deal. I can talk about whoever I want with my friends. It's my life." I felt my blood run cold. Even if it was disrespectful, even if he had told them things in confidence, the entitlement in his voice was staggering. "Daniel, yes, you can talk about whoever you want. And yes, you can choose your friendships. But I can also choose that I don't want to be with someone who tolerates betrayal. We're done." His shock was tangible. He argued, pleaded, cried. But I held firm. I packed a bag and stayed with my brother that night, the city's quiet streets a blur behind me. The following days were a whirlwind. Liam checked in on me, not as a confidant, but as a friend who had quietly carried the weight of years of Samantha's manipulations. We talked endlessly about Daniel, about Samantha, but also about life, trust, and honesty. A week after the breakup, Liam and I went out for dinner. "Just friends," he insisted. But hours of conversation and shared glances revealed something deeper. There was a spark, unspoken but undeniable. By the end of the night, our lips met, hesitant at first, then with certainty. Unexpected, but right. 2 days later, my phone blew up. Messages, voicemails, texts, all from Samantha, screaming. "You're dating Liam? My best friend? Are you serious?" Her words were venomous, accusing, full of disbelief. She painted Liam as a villain, myself as a homewrecker, but I knew the truth. Her months-long campaign of insults, gossip, and manipulation had backfired spectacularly. And so I waited. Samantha's storm had only just begun. The days after Samantha's initial explosion were a blur of chaos and small victories. Liam and I kept our distance from the storm, communicating mostly through hushed messages and quiet dinners. It was a strange, exhilarating freedom, like stepping out from a suffocating fog into sunlight. But Samantha's fury was relentless, and she had reinforcements. Her younger sister, Kimberly, 28, was a whirlwind of intensity. Kimberly had always been fiercely protective of Samantha, the kind of sister who believed in loyalty above all else, blind, unquestioning loyalty. And now she was hell-bent on making me pay for daring to move on. Isabella Hart, what do you think you're doing? Kimberly's text blazed across my phone. Dating Liam? You're trying to destroy my sister. You're a homewrecker. I exhaled slowly, replying carefully. Kimberly, Daniel and I broke up. The reasons were between him and Samantha. I'm not destroying anyone. I'm moving on. Her reply was immediate and venomous. You clearly planned this. You were probably with Liam all along. Samantha would never hurt anyone, and yet here you are, plotting. I stared at the screen. The delusion was strong. Liam and I met after the breakup, Kimberly. Nothing was planned. Samantha's actions ended her relationship long before Liam and I even spoke about us. Kimberly didn't accept logic. Her next messages accused me of manipulation, of seduction, of scheming to take Samantha down. Every line dripped with entitlement and disbelief. Meanwhile, Samantha intensified her assault. She relentlessly messaged Liam, crying, begging, threatening, all in rapid succession. Isabella, you betrayed us. You're just waiting for your chance. You'll regret this. Liam remained a rock, calm, measured, unwavering. He blocked her on most platforms after a particularly venomous voicemail and shared every interaction with me. We decided it was time to take control of the narrative. Samantha and Kimberly's attacks were escalating, becoming personal and public. People we cared about were being drawn into their drama. Their words alone weren't enough. We needed proof. Liam had the recordings. Every cruel comment, every mockery, every betrayal Samantha had orchestrated over months. We spent hours selecting key clips, the moments where Samantha laughed at Daniel, dissected him, and plotted ways to manipulate him, and the moments where Kimberly encouraged the chaos. We were careful, surgical, not public humiliation, not a social media war, but targeted exposure to the people whose opinions mattered most in our circle, those who Samantha had been poisoning against us. One clip went to Emily, a mutual friend whose small business Samantha had mocked. Liam sent it with a single message. Emily, I thought you should hear this. You deserve to know the truth. The fallout was immediate. Emily was horrified and furious. She posted about the betrayal she'd faced, about supporting local friends over toxic exes, without naming anyone outright. But the circle pieced it together quickly. Samantha tried to comment with fake sympathy, only to be deleted and blocked. Even our mutual acquaintances began reaching out. Messages like, Isabella, Liam, what happened with Samantha? Are you okay? Their questions, their confusion, slowly began to turn the tide. Meanwhile, Liam became an unexpected ally in controlling the narrative. He helped me review every recording, every message, every move Samantha and Kimberly had made. Together, we crafted a response that let Samantha's own words reveal her duplicity without us appearing vindictive. Samantha and Kimberly's tactics became more desperate. Anonymous complaints at work, subtle smear campaigns, vague threats via social media. But we were ready. Their power was fueled by deception, and now their own words would undermine them. Through it all, Liam remained calm, patient, and steadfast. He wasn't just a best friend. He was someone who had seen the entire manipulation unfold from the inside and chosen integrity over loyalty to someone toxic. That loyalty became a quiet anchor for me amidst the storm. The first week after the recordings were shared was intense. Messages poured in, apologies from friends who had been misled, confessions of confusion from those unsure who to trust. And Samantha's fury? It was breathtaking. Every accusation she lobbed back at us only served to confirm the truth we already knew. She couldn't manipulate the narrative anymore. By the end of the week, the social isolation of Samantha and Kimberly was becoming apparent. People were questioning them. Invitations were quietly rescinded, group chats dissolved, and yet they were frantic, trying desperately to cling to some shred of control. Through all of this, Liam and I found an unexpected calm. The world was chaotic, yes, but in our corner, trust and honesty flourished. The connection between us deepened, not just romance, but partnership, understanding, and a shared commitment to face betrayal head-on. And the truth was a powerful shield. It seemed like the drama outside my apartment was relentless, but then it seeped into my professional life. I had thought my work was a sanctuary, a place where personal chaos couldn't touch me. I was wrong. Last Tuesday, my manager, Daniel, Liam's best friend, called me into his office. He looked uneasy, shifting papers nervously. Isabella, I received a strange email. An anonymous tip, Daniel began carefully. It said you've been distracted and aggressive lately at work, and there are implications about inappropriate communications. Do you know what this might be about? My stomach dropped. Only Samantha and Kimberly could orchestrate something like this. I took a deep breath. Daniel, I assure you it's baseless. Liam and I recently had a messy situation with his ex, Samantha. I suspect she's trying to stir trouble, but my work hasn't been affected, and all my communications have been professional. Daniel studied me for a moment. Okay, it just came across as concerning. But I trust your professionalism, Isabella. We'll keep an eye out, but unless concrete issues arise, there's no action needed. It was a small victory, but a tense one. The attempt to undermine my livelihood had failed, for now. Meanwhile, the social pressure continued. Mutual acquaintances, those on the periphery of our circle, started reaching out to Liam. Messages like, "Be careful, Samantha says Isabella is controlling you," or, "I heard things, are you okay?" It was a new angle of attack, casting Liam as the villain and me as the opportunist. But we had the recordings. Now, it wasn't just defense, it was strategy. We meticulously reviewed each conversation. Samantha mocking Liam's job, his hobbies, his personality, exposing every insult, every betrayal. Kimberly's encouragement of her sister's cruelty was just as damning. We decided to send the most undeniable clips to 5 or 6 key people from our old circle, the ones who mattered most, whose opinions Samantha had tried to manipulate. One key recipient was Emily, the friend whose bakery Samantha had derided. Liam sent the clip with a brief message. "Emily, I thought you should know the truth." Emily's response was immediate. Shock, fury, and an unwavering defense of truth over toxicity. She posted publicly about being betrayed by a so-called friend without naming Samantha, and the dots connected quickly within our circle. Samantha tried a fake sympathetic reply on Emily's post, but Emily deleted it and blocked her immediately. Even more surprising, Liam became an unexpected anchor in the unfolding narrative. He wasn't just a messenger or ally. He was someone who had seen Samantha's manipulation firsthand and refused to be complicit. His calm, rational presence became the stabilizing force amid the chaos. Samantha's response was predictable, but spectacularly dramatic. She bombarded Liam with desperate voicemails, threatening messages, accusations of betrayal, and claims that I had planned the whole thing. She even involved Kimberly, who fired off angry, misspelled DMs to anyone questioning her sister. Their combined frenzy only made our position stronger. We watched carefully as their social isolation grew. Friends who had been misled began asking hard questions. Invitations quietly disappeared. Social events were canceled. Every frantic attempt by Samantha and Kimberly to control the narrative only confirmed their guilt and unreliability. Through it all, Liam and I were steady. The intensity of their attacks only solidified our trust in one another. We had emerged from the eye of the storm, not unscathed, but smarter, calmer, and more connected than ever. Every plot Samantha hatched, every desperate maneuver Kimberly tried, only strengthened our resolve. And in the quiet moments, away from texts, emails, and voicemails, we finally allowed ourselves to breathe. Our connection wasn't just about romance, it was about partnership, honesty, and facing betrayal together. We had survived the manipulations, the threats, the whispers behind our backs. And slowly we began to see that Samantha's world, built on entitlement and deceit, was unraveling. Meanwhile, our world, built on trust and mutual respect, was only growing stronger. The week after the recordings were shared felt surreal. On one hand, Samantha and Kimberly's attacks intensified. On the other, we began seeing the tide turn. People we'd worried about being swayed by their lies started asking questions, confronting inconsistencies, and quietly distancing themselves from the chaos. It began subtly. A few mutual friends sent private messages, hesitantly, asking for clarity. "Isabella, I'm confused. Samantha's posts don't make sense. Are you okay?" Every message was a small victory. Each one chipped away at the carefully constructed narrative Samantha had spun. Meanwhile, Samantha's desperation escalated. She left a package at Liam's apartment, a box of old items, a single dead rose, and a printed toxic friendship meme. A symbolic gesture intended to intimidate or guilt him, but it had the opposite effect. Liam shared it with me, and we laughed in disbelief at the theatricality. Kimberly continued to fuel the fire, sending frantic, accusatory texts to anyone who showed skepticism toward Samantha. Each message exposed her enabling behavior, her inability to perceive reality, and her compulsion to control the narrative at all costs. At work, Daniel noticed a subtle shift. Colleagues who had been quiet started asking for clarification on rumors, expressing concern about the intensity of Samantha's claims. Because we had the recordings, we could calmly respond with facts, letting Samantha's own words speak for themselves. Then came the subtle but effective social isolation. Invitations quietly vanished, group chats dissolved, and events Samantha and Kimberly were meant to attend were postponed or canceled. Their frantic attempts to regain control only confirmed their growing instability. Through all of this, Liam was unwavering. His loyalty, integrity, and calm presence were a constant anchor. He supported me not just emotionally, but strategically, helping navigate the delicate balance between truth, discretion, and justice. His friendship with Daniel also provided an unexpected layer of protection and credibility. Meanwhile, the recordings began to circulate among those whose opinions mattered most. Emily, the bakery owner, posted publicly about betrayal, integrity, and standing up to toxic friendships, carefully, without naming names. The context, however, was clear. Samantha tried to comment, pretending sympathy, but Emily promptly deleted and blocked her. Every attempt Samantha made to discredit us, to regain control, backfired. Her own words were used against her, exposing her manipulations and the cruelty she had inflicted over months. Kimberly's aggressive messages compounded the damage, revealing her as an enabler rather than a protector. In private moments, Liam and I finally allowed ourselves to breathe. The storm had not passed entirely, but we had emerged stronger. Our relationship was no longer about secrecy or fear of backlash. It was about honesty, trust, and shared resilience. The dramatic irony wasn't lost on me. Samantha, who had spent months trying to control everyone around her, was now isolated by her own actions. Her power, carefully cultivated through deceit and manipulation, was crumbling. And for the first time in months, I felt genuinely free. Free from fear, free from manipulation, and free to build a life with someone who valued truth above all. Liam and I weren't just surviving, we were thriving. Months passed since the storm first hit, and slowly, life began to regain a sense of normalcy. Samantha and Kimberly had become increasingly isolated, their desperate attempts to manipulate and control backfiring at every turn. People saw their true colors, and those who had been on the fence quietly distanced themselves. The social fallout was profound. Mutual friends stopped taking their calls. Group chats that had once been lively turned silent when they joined. Invitations evaporated. Their relentless schemes and frantic accusations had only amplified their social exile. Meanwhile, Liam and I found peace in the quiet aftermath. Our relationship, forged in fire, was stronger than ever. Gone were the whispers, the manipulations, the fear of hidden agendas. In their place were honest conversations, shared laughter, and a mutual understanding that trust was everything. We even went on that camping trip we had originally planned months earlier, a trip that had once been overshadowed by Samantha's shadow. Now it was just the two of us, surrounded by nature, and it was perfect. No drama, no distractions, just freedom. It was a stark reminder that life didn't have to be consumed by the chaos others tried to impose. Emily's bakery flourished in the aftermath. The posts she shared, subtle but truthful, rallied support from the community. Locals who had witnessed her strength and integrity continued to support her business. She sent us a heartfelt thank you package, a gesture that reminded us that standing up for truth can have ripple effects far beyond our own lives. Samantha, of course, continued to complain from the sidelines, but her complaints held no weight. Her credibility had eroded, her social network had shrunk, and her influence evaporated. Kimberly, loyal but equally exposed, had nowhere to hide. Their world, once meticulously controlled, had collapsed under the weight of their own actions. For Liam and me, the lesson was clear. Trust your instincts, protect your integrity, and never let anyone else define your reality. Betrayal can be devastating, but honesty, resilience, and loyalty are far more powerful forces. Our apartment, once a space tainted by tension, became a sanctuary. We laughed, we planned, we lived. We moved on, not out of revenge, but because we deserved peace, love, and the chance to build a life grounded in mutual respect. The irony was not lost on me. Samantha's relentless attempts to undermine our happiness had inadvertently strengthened it. Every lie, every manipulation, every attempt to control backfired, reinforcing the bond between Liam and me. We had survived the chaos, exposed the truth, and come out stronger. Samantha and Kimberly remained a cautionary tale of entitlement and manipulation. Meanwhile, Liam and I looked toward the future with hope, knowing that the foundation we were building, trust, honesty, and love, was unshakable. And in the quiet moments, when the world felt calm and safe, I realized something profound. Sometimes, the people who try hardest to control your life are the ones who end up teaching you the most important lessons. We didn't just survive, we thrived. And for the first time in a long while, everything felt right.